In this video, we are going to find the derivative of the function arctan of x over x cubed. So we can actually find this derivative in two different ways. One way is to apply the quotient rule to the function we're looking at, and another way is to rewrite this function and use the product rule. So in this video, I'll go over how to solve this using both methods, but first we'll use the quotient rule. So first, let's review what the quotient rule says. The quotient rule tells me that if I'm going to take the derivative of a function f of x over g of x, the derivative is g of x times f prime of x minus f of x times g prime of x all over g of x squared. So one catchy way I learned to remember this is low d high minus high d low all over low squared. So now let's apply the quotient rule and solve this derivative. So in this case, arctan of x is our f of x, and x cubed is our g of x. So if we plug this in to the quotient rule formula, this gives us g of x, which is x cubed, times the derivative of the top function, so the derivative of arctan of x, minus f of x, which is arctan of x, times the derivative of x cubed, all over x cubed squared. So now let's simplify this. X cubed times the derivative of arctan of x. So recall that the derivative of arctan of x is 1 over 1 plus x squared. Now minus arctan of x times the derivative of x cubed. So this is going to be 3x squared. And now we have all this over x cubed squared, which is x to the 6th. Great. And we don't need to simplify, so we can just leave it as this for now. And that's how you use the quotient rule. But now let's try to rewrite arctan of x over x cubed and use the product rule. So what we can do now is, instead of looking at this as a quotient, we can rewrite this as arctan of x times x to the minus 3. Now, if you're doing an exam or something and you feel more comfortable using the product rule, then you can solve the problem using this method. If you feel more comfortable using the quotient rule, then you can use the quotient rule. But as we're about to see, the product rule formula looks a little easier to remember, so you might prefer to do it this way. What does the product rule tell us? The product rule tells us that if I'm going to take the derivative of a product of two functions, let's say f of x times g of x, the derivative of that is f of x times g prime of x plus f prime of x times g of x. So in our case, we can have arctan be f of x and x to the minus 3 be g of x. So now plugging this in to the product formula, or using the product rule, we get f of x, so arctan of x times the derivative of x to the minus 3 plus f of x, or the derivative of f of x, which f of x is arctan, of x times g of x, which is x to the minus 3. So let's do some simplifying now. So we have arctan of x times the derivative of x to the minus 3. So that's minus 3 times x to the minus 4 plus the derivative of arctan, which is 1 over 1 plus x squared times x to the minus 3. And we don't need to simplify, so this is our final answer. Now, you might be confused because this looks different than what we got above, but we can rewrite it and see that these are actually the same. So first, I'll do a little bit of simplifying here. So I'll write x cubed over 1 plus x squared minus 3 arctan, 3 arctan of x times x squared. This is all over x to the 6th. So since I have a difference here, I can break this up into this over x to the 6th and this over x to the 6th. So this simplifies to move over here a little bit. This simplifies to be x cubed divided by 1 plus x squared divided by x to the 6th, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's the same as times 1 over x to the 6th minus 3 arctan of x squared all over x to the 6th. Now we have x squared and x6, so we have some cancellation. So if we do the cancellation, we get minus 3 arctan of x over x to the 4th, because if we have x squared over x to the 6th, that's x to the 2 minus 6, which is minus 4, which is the same as 1 over x to the 4th. Great. Now we can do the same thing on the left here, because we have an x cubed and an x sixth in the denominator. So this becomes 1 over 1 plus x squared times x cubed minus 3 arctan of x over x to the 4th. Okay, but this still doesn't look like what we got using the product rule. So now let's go over here and simplify a little bit. So I can rewrite arctan of x times minus 3x times x to the minus 4 by bringing the minus 3 in front, writing arctan of x, and now it's times x to the minus 4th, which is the same as 1 over x to the 4th. So I'll write this like that, and we have plus 1 over 1 plus x squared times x to the minus 3. So I can rewrite that as 1 over 1 plus x squared times x to the 3 in the denominator. Now, if we look at these, it's a lot easier to see that they are equal. So in this video, we saw how to find the derivative of this function using the quotient rule and the product rule. If you thought this video was helpful, please like and subscribe so I can make more content. And if there's a question you're stuck on, feel free to send it to ashmath1729@gmail.com. and I will make a video for you answering your question.